that's what, when people are trying to control us, they have to do that. They have to make us feel different. So the relational piece is a very, very big piece. There's also a financial component. Right? Financial component. Having financial control over someone's relationship. And the way people do this is, first of all, you can make more money. You can be in charge of all of the money. And that happens in relationships where there are some women, we're talking about guys and women, who don't have access to the bank account. They don't know how much money comes in, they don't know how much money goes out. So you imagine what happens, you have nothing. So if you ever wanted to leave, what would you leave with? Not nothing. And what happens is, what we often don't talk about, when women leave, what percentage of these women are homeless? Actually, a great percentage of these women are homeless because they don't have financial means to care for themselves. Another component is the sexual component. So not only is domestic violence physical, emotional, financial, sexual. And the sexual things they do, you're thinking, a lot of people think you're in a relationship with someone, so you're consenting to sexual relationships. But often women or men are forced into doing things they don't want to do, or when they don't want to do it. And you get to say yes or no. But in these relationships, that's a problem. That's a problem. Social component. So how do they separate us socially? What happens? They actually keep us away from our family. They keep us away from our friends. They keep us away from the things that we enjoy. So our circle becomes smaller and smaller when we're in these relationships. So you'll find that people just reflect this, and I talked a little bit about it. 1 in 3 to 4 women at some point in their lifetime has experienced domestic violence from a partner. That's a lot of women. A lot of women. The ages of 20 to 24 are the greatest, when that age group are the greatest risk of becoming abused by a partner. So we're talking about college age, young adults. That's a really prime time. And you see a lot of, it even starts before that, but that's the prime. You have teenagers, girls in high school, we start to see this. And so we often forget about that. When we start seeing someone date and they have someone they're dating with those signs of abuse person, it starts early. It can start that early. The other thing that's important about this slide is they say the ages of 18 to 44, that's when we see the most physical damage from domestic violence. So those are the women that are actually having a lot of physical damage between that age group. So it's got a lot of different, as they said, it affects a lot of women, a lot of age groups, and it's something that we have to be thinking about all the time. This is just, I like this slide because I like to look at pictures of things, remind me of things. And this, again, high school students. This area right here, kind of Russ said, 30% of high school students have been involved in some sort of domestic violence. That's a lot. High school students. College females with dating violence. If you see a lot of violence, a lot of age groups. A lot. We were talking earlier about the LGBTQ population, and a lot of people, we're doing more studies now, so you're hearing more about this group of persons and what's happening. And actually, a lot of studies believe that they are headed about equally as those in heterosexual relationships or more. They actually abuse more, and they don't seek help. I mean, not that women in abusive relationships tend to seek help that often, but especially this group, they don't seem to trust others, and they're not going to share that someone is abusing them. So this is a very high-risk group, and a very high-risk group for depression, suicide, all of those things that come along with abuse. Very, very high-risk group. So we always want to be thinking about that when we're working with that population. Just another slide to show how prevalent things are. As you see at the top is showing at least 1 in 3 women, but 1 in 4 men have been involved in domestic violence. This one, like 34% of people who have been injured have received help in a medical setting. That's a lot of people to go and get help in a medical setting from domestic violence. 34% of people. Violent crimes, they say domestic violence makes up 15% of all the violent crimes. 15%. And we're talking about murders and all. 15% is made up by domestic violence. It's shocking. And that's what it's just shocking. 72% of murder-suicides, 72%, and usually the male part, and 94% of those are women who are murdered. 90%. So the murder-suicide, high. And usually, as we say, it's a male killing his partner and then himself. And you hear that when you tell the girls, you hear their boyfriend say, if I can't have you, no one else will. You better believe that, because it happens. When do we hear about domestic violence? We usually hear about it when somebody has died. We hear in the paper somebody has killed someone. Somebody has, so you better believe it when you hear that. When somebody tells you that. Some of the things we wanted to highlight tonight were the effects of violence against women, some of the physical effects. And there's so many physical things that occur with domestic violence. I mean, anything from, often you see when you come to a doctor's office, if they come in, you see black eyes, you see bruises, you see broken arms, broken legs, and there's always an excuse, clumsy, or something else. Before they actually get to the point where they actually tell, there's usually, they're accident prone. The thing that I was thinking on my way here about the new things that are happening in doctor's offices, I'm actually asking about things like violence. And I was surprised. I was going to get medicine for something. I was in my doctor's office, and the nurse, first of all, she said to me, have I ever been depressed? And I looked real strange. She probably thought that was where I said, I don't like the fact that you asked me this. Asked how I thought about suicide. I don't like that. And then she said, do you feel safe at home? Nobody ever asked me that before in the doctor's office. Like, I had to ask her again. She probably thought, do I feel safe? And that's one of the nurses will ask you questions in some doctor's office now because they try to pick this up because we miss it. We miss it all the time. We don't ask the right questions. In my office, when people come in with depression, it's a big cause of depression comes with domestic violence. How often do we, as health professionals, mental health professionals, ask when people are depressed, are you safe? Do you feel safe at home? Have you ever been hit in a relationship? Have you ever been, how often do we ask those questions? Not often enough. Not often enough. This is just another summary showing their physical, emotional. You see that emotional circle is bigger because the emotional effects are greater. We see those more often. They're all important. None is more important, they're all important. These are definitely long-lasting. Long-lasting. This is just, I like this jumbled slide because it shows you just like it is. There are so many medical complications of domestic violence. So many injuries. Any organ in your body can be injured when someone is hitting you, pushing you, shoving you, doing whatever. Concussions. How many women have concussions? Detached retinas, black eyes, blindness. Everything you can think of has happened and happens on a regular basis. Pelvic inflammatory disease. These women get all kinds of infections. First of all, they don't want to be involved in sexual intercourse, and these perpetrators are not thinking about protecting themselves or anyone else. Sexually transmitted diseases, AIDS, very, very high in domestic violence, very high, very high. Asthma and irritable bowel syndrome. Sometimes these people have medical problems and they don't take care of themselves because they're too busy, they're stressed out because of what's going on. But sometimes they think the stress precipitates some of these problems. There are a lot of new studies out with cardiac disease, with strokes and heart attacks, saying that women in domestic violence situations, they have a higher risk of strokes and heart attacks. And one of the possibilities is that the stress, that of course they're stressed out, and that may be a precipitate to the medical problems. Another cause is these are women who are not taking care of themselves. I'm too busy trying to survive, so I'm not thinking about, am I going to the doctor? Am I eating right? Did I exercise today? Did I get the vegetables I need to get? Did I check out with my doctor once? Did I have my mammogram? They're not doing that. And so often they end up with some of these chronic illnesses because they don't have the time, or they don't take the time to take care of themselves because they're too busy trying to survive. Mental health outcomes. And that's where this is what I get to see all the times. The biggest one is depression. You probably can guess that. How many of them are depressed? Most of them. Most of them. Depression and anxiety. And anything with depression, we have major depression, we have post-traumatic stress is a big one. These women, they startle very easily. If you see them around a perpetrator, somebody can raise a hand and you see them jump. They startle. They don't sleep well. They don't eat well. They have frequent dreams about what happens to them. They don't feel safe. They don't feel safe any place. They don't feel safe any place. Low self-esteem. When you have been told over and over and over that nobody cares about you, nobody loves you, nobody would want you, if I don't want you, nobody's going to want you, and that's a big one. You have to degrade someone and keep them down in order to have control of them. So that's one thing that you do. They mess with your mind. They mess your mind. And it's hard to get out of your head without somebody helping you. Eating problems. They say they either overeat or they undereat. So we see it as a problem. And some of them, as we see with even girls who have been sexually abused, is sometimes they think if I get big enough, he won't want to bother me. He won't touch me sexually. He won't, he'll forget about me, but that doesn't necessarily happen. Suicide. That's a big one. So we worry about suicide. But because we're depressed, we see a lot of suicide attempts and completed suicide. So just lots of mental health issues that we have to do and we have to look for. We have to ask about these things and we have to keep doing what we're doing now. Fatal outcomes. Suicide, and as we said before, homicide. Women are dying. Women are being killed from this. And they don't feel like they can get help. And some of them actually go to the police and they get out, put out restraining orders, but this happens. This happens. That's just another drug and alcohol abuse. I just want to say that before I drug and alcohol abuse. A lot of the women in domestic violence situations actually abuse substances. Can you imagine why? They need to escape. They need to find some way to feel different, to get out of that situation. So often we see substance abuse that comes with domestic violence. The perpetrators, often they are abusers of drugs and alcohol. But definitely we see the victims also with that as a problem. I just want to end with this one. Your self-worth, self-esteem, health, and life matter. Break the silence, stand up within, speak out. Say no more to domestic violence. And I think that's what we're doing tonight, and we need to keep doing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Howard. You know what? Let's give Dr. Howard another hand. Back there just writing down and taking my notes and everything, but I want to say one thing about Dr. Howard. It only took me one time to ask her, would you please present? Would you be a keynote speaker for this evening program? And she said, give me the date and the time. And that's what I'm talking about as far as Edgewater. Do not sleep on Edgewater and our staff. Let's give us another hand. Do not sleep on our staff. Do not sleep on our leader, Dr. Danita Johnson. I would like to thank her for her support and her encouragement, because any time we want to have a program here at Edgewater in the community, she says, okay, because we are here to serve the community. I was writing the note, the myth, it must not be that bad. How many times have you heard someone say, or you thought that about someone? Well, it must not be that bad, she's still there. I've said that, I mean, seriously, because you think someone is in a situation and they should get out, and you say, well, it must not be that bad, she's still there. The financial control that a person may have over another person. High school students and dating and violence. Wow. We have to start teaching and talking to our daughters early. And not only our daughters, we got to talk to our sons about how to be respectful towards women. And let's give the men a hand that's here this evening. And one of the men is my son. And I'm thankful that he is here. But you have to talk to both your sons and your daughters. The LGBTQ community and the barriers of care and their safety issues that they have. So we have to be mindful, and also the excuses. How many times have you saw a bruise on someone, or a friend, a family member? Oh, I just bumped up against the wall, or I tripped. Start paying a little bit more closely attention to that, and see how often that occurs. And it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but sometimes we have to have those uncomfortable conversations so that we can save our loved ones. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. I'm going to continue on, but I do want you to remember that in any traumatic situation, there's hope. When something in your life or the life of someone that you love becomes too much to handle, there's hope. There is hope. And here at Edgewater, we have the staff, we have our physicians like Dr. Howard that is here to help. And we have another person from our staff that I am so proud to bring on. Her name is Miss Queen Ego Wowchi. I thought I was going to miss this. Okay. But I am extremely happy to introduce her. If you want to ever know if a smile can be heard on someone's voice, when you call in and you hear someone smile through the phone, that's Miss Queen. Miss Queen, you will see when she comes up. She has the most beautiful smile, and anyone that calls, anyone that comes through the door, that's the first thing that you see is Miss Queen's smile. And that's important because you never know what a person is going through. And sometimes that's what all you can want for that day, because you've been going through so much, is a smile. And Miss Queen is here. Miss Queen, come on up as I introduce you. Miss Queen was born in Ondo State, Nigeria, and entered the United States in 1987 at the age of 14. She graduated from Roosevelt High School and furthered her education at Sawyer College, obtaining her associate's degree as a medical assistant in 1992. In 2001, Miss Queen became an entrepreneur, naming her business Lady of Distinction DJ and Entertainment Services. Miss Queen is the admissions specialist at Edgewater and speaks out about the culture of her country to educate and raise awareness. Please help me welcome Miss Queen.
Mom, he's done it again. Come, child, come, child.